I made my own wooden guest book for my wedding. I used this raw wood sign I got for about $11. It is 11 inches by 16 inches, a wood burning pen set, wood stain, carbon paper, and just printed this on printer paper. I taped it down so that it would stay in exactly the same spot and not wiggle around. And I used the end of a paintbrush kind of randomly, but really you just need some sort of edge that you can press over your text without cutting the paper or anything like that. So I found that the end of a paintbrush worked fine. You do want to push pretty hard and probably to go over things a couple of times because pressure is really what is going to transfer that carbon onto the wood for you. So how clear and neat your pattern ends up being is really all about how well you push. This font that I used, for some names it would automatically connect them like this, but from going from a Y to an R it didn't. So I decided to just kind of fix the pattern myself, and while the top of that R was a little wider, I just wasn't gonna make it extra wide right there so that it would kind of flow into from the end of the heart up to the R a little more smoothly. For this thick font that I used for our last name, I had initially started filling it all in, but my hand was getting tired, and then I realized I just need to outline this. As long as I have the outline, then I'll be able to know where to fill in with the wood burning pen. So I just did the edges of this thick font. And then removed it. And I did slightly mess up the 4, but that was easy enough to hand correct. So you can see how I fixed that heart up to the R. I think it flowed pretty smoothly. And I have really bad drawing and handwriting skills, so being able to utilize printing a font and using the carbon paper makes all the difference in getting this to look much closer to professional. For the cursive font, I used the fine edge of an angled tip, and really the key is to try to keep the pen in each spot for the same amount of time. How hard you press doesn't really make a difference, but how long the tip of the pen lingers on each spot is really what keeps the burn as consistent as possible. And of course, you just go over everything to burn your entire word. I really liked the idea of a wooden guest book just because I thought if we use a traditional guest book for people to sign, we would never see it again. And with this guest book, you can turn it into home decor once you're done. I also really like the idea of being able to kind of keep everybody's signatures and stuff in a little bit of a keepsake. So again, here is the part where I freehanded a little bit the connection from the heart to the R. I think it turned out pretty good. For me, it's not a big deal to freehand teeny tiny pieces, but freehanding the whole thing would have been a disaster. This was only my second attempt at wood burning, but with a pattern, it's pretty easy. I also found the working on it to be kind of relaxing. Every once in a while, ash will build up on the pen, and so I was just scratching it off there because you want to keep the ear tip pretty smooth. But the first sign that I made was a pick a seat not a side sign, and for that one I used scrap pallet wood. For this one, because I wanted to keep it as a long-term keepsake, I bought this wood sign from Walmart. It looks like they don't sell it anymore, but Michael's and other craft stores sell really, really similar raw wood signs that you can use for any sort of craft. And it was nice to not have to sand it and stuff like I had to do with the raw pallet wood. The thick font here is really, really easy compared to the cursive. So if you're worried about keeping things neat, going with a thicker font or kind of like a blockier font is a good one to experiment with, in my opinion, just because there's just like less like fine detail that could potentially get messed up when you're using a thicker font. A tip that I utilized from somewhere on the internet was if you can have somebody sign this before your wedding, that will help more of your guests sign it. So I had our wedding party sign it during our rehearsal the night before our wedding, and I feel like we did have a pretty good turnout with a lot of people signing it, though certainly not all of our guests did. For some reason, people are just really hesitant to be the first to sign something. And so if you have at least one person sign it before your wedding starts, then you are more likely to get more people to sign it. I did multiple layers of stain, letting them rest in between, but of course this is totally just up to your preference. Or I mean, you probably could even just leave it raw if that's the look that you prefer, but I just used as many layers of stain to get the tone that I wanted. Here's what it looked like when I was done, and here is our professional photographer's picture of it once it was